Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 3. Before we start, I would like to welcome my colleague, Mr. Fawaz Al-Aqil, the interpreter to the sign language. As always, we start our classes with the objectives, what we are planning to achieve at the end of this class with the students. At the end of the class, inshallah, students will be able to identify how a paragraph is started, how to build a paragraph, how to make a paragraph, and what the essential things we need to write in a paragraph. Also, how the students will be able to differentiate between a cold and the flu. The students will be able also, at the last objective, able to answer 2 comprehension questions based on reading. Okay, now we are at Unit 8, as you know, and we are at Step 8, that is reading. Okay, so today our class is going to be on reading. We're going to read a passage, and we want to understand what this passage is about and what information provided in this passage. Okay, before we start, very quickly, let's review the previous lesson. We had in the previous lesson, as you can see here, a conversation. You remember Bud and his friend Omar, when they had a conversation, they had some real talk expressions that we learned from the previous lesson. Let's very quickly remind you of how to ask. If you want to ask about somebody who is feeling not well, who is not feeling well, how to ask about him or her, you can ask like this, one of these questions. You can say, what's the matter? If you see somebody having a problem or complaining of something or suffering, you can ask, what is the matter? What's the matter? Or you can ask another question, what's wrong? Okay, what's wrong? And here the title of this unit is, what's wrong? You want to ask, or you can ask also so many questions, so many expressions you can use, like what is the problem? Okay, let's review the questions, the comprehension questions from the previous lesson, from the conversation. How does Bud feel? In the beginning, Bud told his friend Omar that he felt what? He felt terrible, very bad. He has something hurts in his body. What is it? Let's answer the second question. What's wrong with him? What was the problem? If you still remember, he had stomachache. He had stomachache, pain in his abdomen or in his stomach. Number 3, what advice did doctor give him? Okay, Omar asked Bud, did you go to the doctor? He said, yes, I did. The doctor advised me not to eat much, just eat toast, rice, and also drink tea. This is what the doctor advised him. And number 4, what did Omar want to do? Before he knew that his friend Bud had a problem, he wanted to invite him for dinner. Okay. Okay, also in the previous lesson, we learned some expressions. When somebody says, did you do this and that? When somebody asks, did you do this and that? The answer can be, I just did. That means, I did what you are asking me to do. I did that a short time ago. I just did. That means recently, a few minutes ago, or a little time ago. Next here, and things like that. When somebody tells a list of things, and he doesn't want to continue listing these things, he can say, or she can say, and things like that. He or she means by that similar things. When he counted the things that the doctor advised him to do, like rice, tea, toast, and something like that. Similar things. Okay, so a way to give examples without naming lots of things. The last expression that we had in the conversation is nothing much. When somebody says nothing much, he or she means not a great amount. Okay, not a great amount. Now we move to our main class of today, that is about reading. We're going to read a passage now, a very important passage. It is very useful. From this passage, you will differentiate and you will know the difference between 2 important terms that we commonly use. Look at the picture here. The title of this passage, as you can see, you can read it, that's a chew. A chew. This is imitating or saying the sound that when somebody sneezes. When somebody sneezes, he or she does like that, achoo. That is indicating the sound of sneezing. Is it a cold or the flu? When somebody sneezes, you can predict or you can guess, is it a cold or the flu? The flu is the short form of fluenza. You know the fluenza? Sometimes people confuse or they don't know the difference between flu and a cold. So in this lesson, we're going to learn the difference between the flu and a cold. Look at the man here. What is he doing now? Maybe he is coughing or he's sneezing. Coughing, sneezing are symptoms that can tell that there is an illness. Okay, what is the illness that he has? Is it the flu or a cold? This is what we are going to learn in the coming slides, inshallah. Before reading, let's think about the flu and a cold. What do you know about the common cold and the flu? What are the information that you have in your mind about the flu and a cold? If somebody sneezes, if somebody coughs, for example, or if somebody has high temperature, are you able to recognize or to diagnose or to tell what illness he or she has? Is it a flu or a cold? This is very important to know. For sure, you have some pieces of information about that, and you need to read all together now with us. Then you will find out more information about what you have known about. Okay? Now we're going to read a passage. Okay? This passage is in 4 paragraphs, and we told you before, what do you mean by paragraph? Paragraph is one of the essay units. The good writer, when a good writer writes, he or she divides his or her article or essay into paragraphs. How does he or she divide these paragraphs? According to the ideas. So each paragraph has different idea than the other one, but all of them are about the main idea of the article. Okay, like what we are going to see now. You're going to read 4 slides with us all together now, and you will find out what paragraph 1 is about, mainly what is it about. All these paragraphs, all these 4 paragraphs are talking about the difference between the flu and a cold, but what each paragraph is about. This is very important to notice and to find out when you read these 4 paragraphs. So paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, paragraph number 3, and paragraph number 4. This is your role to find out the main idea of each paragraph. It is in 4 paragraphs, and this article, the whole article, the 4 paragraphs, consists of 285 words. It is very important to know or to estimate, to give the approximate or the nearly number of words, because later on you will be asked to write a specific number of words in an essay or an article, so that it is very important to know how many words, or approximately, nearly how many words each paragraph you are writing is in. Okay? After reading, you will be asked to know what each paragraph is about, and also you will need to find out some answers for some questions. We'll give you now 2 questions. You need to find out the answers in these 4 paragraphs. The first one here, write 3 things that are the same about colds and the flu. So now you are going to find out 3 things that are common between between a cold and the flu. What are these 3 things? You will find out when you read in the coming slides. Also, the second question here, how is the flu different from the colds? Okay, from colds. How is it different? What are the differences between the cold and the flu? In the first question, what are the similarities, the common things between them? That's the second question. What are the things that are different between the cold, the flu and a cold? Okay, now we are starting with paragraph number 1. As you can see here, this is paragraph number 1. And paragraph number 1, as always, gives a general idea about the topic of the main idea of the whole article, and the writer tries to to bring the reader to read, to continue reading. Okay, so you will find out that this article is very well organized, very well arranged. Okay, the writer usually starts with the topic sentence. The topic sentence is the main sentence that the paragraph is dealing with, the main idea of the paragraph. Okay, also there is a sentence, very important sentence, that is the main idea of the whole article. Okay, now let's read all together now, and after that we'll explain the paragraph in details. Okay.
Is it a cold or the flu? When your nose is blocked, your eyes are watery, your throat is sore, you are coughing and sneezing constantly, and you are shivering, then you have influenza or the flu. Or is it just a common cold? The symptoms of both a cold and the flu are very similar, and very often the two illnesses are confused.
Okay, now when your nose is blocked, okay, you know your nose is blocked. This is the nose, as you can see here. When it is blocked, you cannot breathe with your nose. This is one thing, we call it one symptom. Another one, your eyes are watery. When your eyes are watery like this, when there is drops of water, we call it tears coming out of your ears, we call it when the eyes are watery. Your throat is sore. This is the throat, okay, when it is aching you, when there is a pain in your throat, inside your throat. This is another, the third symptom. Also, you are coughing. When you are coughing like this, when the air comes out of your mouth, that's called coughing. And sneezing also. Okay, this picture indicates the sneezing. Okay, that is more strongly than coughing. Sneezing is stronger than coughing. Okay, also, and you are shivering. Shivering, like this picture as you can see here. This girl now is shivering. Maybe she is feeling cold and she is shivering. Okay, then you have influenza or the flu. These things are symptoms for the flu, or we call it the flu, short for fluenza. Okay, this is one thing. Or, let's continue the second sentence here. Or is it a just common cold? Are these symptoms indicate, or do these symptoms indicate that the person has influenza or a cold? This is what we are going to learn in the coming paragraphs. The symptoms of both cold and flu are very similar. Very similar, that means they are close to each other. These are the symptoms. The symptoms are the things that appear on the body, okay, that tell the doctor or tell a person to diagnose or to tell what kind of disease, what kind of illness the person has. Okay, both cold and flu are very similar. They are like each other, and very often the two illnesses are confused. Okay, so confused means that the person cannot tell. Very difficult to tell if it is a cold or if it is influenza. So here, if you notice the sentence that is written in the red font here, the two illnesses are confused. So it is very clear that the writer now is using this sentence that is called the thesis statement, that tells how the writer is going to defend his idea, or how he is going to support his idea with some information about the differences between the cold and the flu. Okay, now let's move to the second paragraph. That is the second paragraph. Now you will listen and you will try to find out what the main idea of this paragraph. We read the previous paragraph. It was about introduction, how the writer introduced his or her article in the introductory paragraph. Now let's find out what this paragraph is about. You will find out. Listen and read at the same time.
People get both illnesses in more or less the same way. A person sneezing or coughing transmits the infection through the air. Sometimes people with the virus wipe their noses or eyes with their fingers and then touch objects around them, such as a doorknob, a telephone, a keyboard, or any other everyday object. Other people come into contact with these items with viruses on them and pick up the viruses that way.
Okay, so it is very clear that this paragraph deals about the differences between the cold and the flu. Let's read it now in details. People get both illnesses. When we say both illnesses, we mean the two illnesses. The first one is the flu. The second one is a cold, in more or less the same way. That means the indicators or the symptoms are similar. Okay, so these are the illnesses. You can see somebody sneezing or coughing, but you cannot tell whether it is a cold or the flu. Okay, now also a person sneezing or coughing, when somebody coughs or sneezes, okay, he or she transmits. What do you mean by transmit here? Look at the person here. When he coughs or when he breathes or when he sneezes, he transmits. Transmits means moving the viruses to another person. So here when a person sneezing or coughing, he transmits the infection through the air. The infection that you can see here, the viruses through the air, and somebody might get these viruses. Okay? Sometimes people with the virus wipe their nose and eyes with their fingers. Some people use their hands or their fingers to wipe their eyes, for example, when they are watery, when they are tearing, or also they clean their noses with their hands. Then the virus starts to transmit, to move to other people. So look at the girl here. She uses her finger and she might touch another item that we are going to explain in a while. So sometimes people with the virus wipe their noses or eyes with their fingers and then touch objects around them, such as when they wipe their eyes or their noses, they touch sometimes a doorknob. This is called a doorknob. When somebody wants to open a door, he or she holds the doorknob here, and when they touch the doorknob, they transmit the virus. Okay, or sometimes they touch another thing, like as you can see here, a telephone. A telephone also they use it. Also they use other thing. For example, the keyboard. This is the keyboard, or any other everyday objects. Other people come into contact with these items with viruses. So other people come and touch the same things. As we mentioned, the doorknob, we mentioned that the keyboard, okay, and the telephone we mentioned a while ago, okay. Also with virus, they transmit the viruses and pick up viruses in that way, okay. These are the viruses and they spread very quickly. As you can see here, somebody is getting the virus through the air, or somebody also gets the virus through the touch, okay. Now we move to paragraph number 3, and here also in this paragraph you will need to listen and you need to find out the main idea, okay. Our strategy of reading today concentrates on what the main idea of each paragraph and how each paragraph is divided, because later on inshallah you're going to learn how to write in the same way, okay. Let's read and listen at the same time.
Colds usually last for 5 to 7 days and are caused by viruses. The body's own defense mechanisms need to fight the viruses. Unfortunately, there are more than 80 different constantly mutating rhinoviruses. So vaccination against colds is impossible. Medicines provide temporary relief from symptoms, but they cannot cure the cold.
Okay, so it is very clear now that this paragraph deals only with colds, how people get cold and how people can recognize, how people can tell if this is a cold or the flu. Okay, let's read it all together now. Colds, as you can see here, this is associated or indicating colds, usually last for 5 to 7 days and are caused by viruses. How long does the cold last with the person? 5 to 7 days, okay, by viruses. These are the viruses. The body's own defense mechanism need to fight the viruses. What do you mean by body defense mechanism? That is the mechanism system in our body that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in our body to defend, to fight the viruses naturally without medicine. Okay, like as you can see here in the picture, there is a defense system, we call it defense mechanism, that is existing in our body. Unfortunately, there are more than 80 different constantly mutating rhinoviruses. What do you mean by that? We mean that there are so many different of viruses that are changing, like what we are having now, this kind of virus that is changing or mutating from COVID-19 into Omicron. So this is mutating. So this is the problem, that some viruses mutating. What do you mean by mutating? We mean by that changing from one shape or from one style to another. Okay? And these are the rhinoviruses that are a family of viruses. So vaccination against cold is impossible. What is a vaccination? This is what we mean by vaccination. When you get an injection or a vaccination for other illnesses, you cannot get for colds, because colds do not have vaccination. So you can't get a vaccination for that. Okay, so it is impossible. You can't get it. Medicine provide temporary relief from symptoms, but they cannot cure the cold. You get some medicine for the cold, okay, just to relieve, to feel better, but they do not treat it. Okay, they don't treat. If you get medicine, they just to relieve your body, but you don't treat cold, because it's the body mechanism system is or defense system is responsible for that naturally to defend this virus. Okay, the last paragraph, that's paragraph number 4. Let's read it and listen together, and let's find out what this paragraph is about.
The flu has the same symptoms as the traditional cold. Additional symptoms are high fever and severe muscle aches and pains. The effects of the flu can also be far more serious. It can cause pneumonia and kill its victims. In the past, the flu killed more people than any other viral disease. For example, 20 million people of all ages died in the 1990 flu epidemic. It actually affected younger people more than old because their bodies didn't have defenses against the virus. Nowadays, there are vaccines for the flu that protect from some viruses. Unfortunately, new viruses appear all the time.
Okay, now the flu has the same symptoms as the traditional cold. Both flu and the cold have the same symptoms. You can have the same symptoms, but they are different. Additional symptoms are high fever. Now we are starting to differentiate. When you have a high fever, that is an indicator of the flu. You don't usually have a high fever with the cold. Okay, that is one piece of information that differentiates the flu from a cold. Okay, this is the high fever. That is, your temperature is very high, and severe muscle aches. When your muscles, generally, when your body aches you, that is also an indicator of the flu. The effects of the flu can also be far more serious. Sometimes the flu develops or becomes more serious, okay, than cold. Cold is normal and the body can defend it easily, but the flu sometimes it develops and it becomes deadly a problem for so many people or some people, and it causes something called pneumonia. That is a disease that affects lung. Okay, so it becomes more serious. That is dangerous, very dangerous for a person. It might kill a person. It can cause pneumonia. Look at these two lungs. These are the lungs that are inside the chest, and these are the organs that help a person to breathe air in and out. And when it is affected by influenza, sometimes there is a disease called pneumonia, as you can see here, and it affects the lung, and the lung becomes red, and people cannot breathe after that. And also it can kill its victim. Okay, some people might die because of the flu. Okay, in the past the flu killed more than more people than any other viral disease. For example, 20 million people of all ages died in 1919 flu epidemic. In 1919, there was epidemic. The epidemic is the disease that kills so many people in so many areas. So they call it epidemic. Okay? It actually affected younger people more than old because their bodies didn't have defense against the virus. So younger people, children for example, they are affected by this disease or this illness more than adults because their defense system, their bodies cannot defend, cannot fight the virus. But the older people can defend and can survive after this. Nowadays there are vaccines, but alhamdulillah, now there are vaccines, as you can see here, that are defending the body, okay, like this one here, for the flu that protect from some viruses. But unfortunately, viruses appear all the time. Now we have different mutating viruses that come from the flu. So this is the problem that scientists and doctors now are trying to find more vaccines for these diseases. Now we finished reading, and after reading, write 3 things that are the same about colds and the flu. Now you will find out about the answers. What are the similar things between these 2 diseases or two illnesses? Your nose is blocked. For both, you will find out that your nose is closed, like this one. Okay, your eyes are watery. Sometimes you find your eyes having water. Your throat is sore also. You are coughing and sneezing constantly. You continuously sneeze and cough. Okay, you are shivering. We explained what's the meaning of shivering. If you remember, this is how a person is shivering, feeling cold. And these are the symptoms that are similar between a cold and the flu. Okay, now we come to the second question. How is the flu different from colds? Number one, or we can explain it like this. When people have the flu, they can have a high fever. This is very important thing. When there is a high fever, that is influenza. It's not a cold. And severe muscle aches. When there is general pain, general body pain or aches, that is also an indicator for the flu. The flu can cause pneumonia and kill its victims. So the impact of influenza sometimes goes to the lungs and it causes pneumonia. That is the disease that affects lungs and makes breathing difficult. There are vaccines for the flu, but not for colds. You cannot take a vaccine for colds, but you have to take vaccine for influenza. Okay? These are the pictures this is the picture of pneumonia that we explained that affects the lung, and sometimes there is a danger reaction or impact for a person after getting the flu. Okay? Now you will go to your book and workbook to apply this reading that is on page 122. So please go to this book. You will find the passage that consists of 6 paragraphs. Read these 6 paragraphs and try to answer the comprehension question. It is a very good article. It is a story that that is a person called Rain and Tim are telling about their experience when they went out with their father. You will find out how the writer has divided his or her paragraphs according to the ideas. Okay, this is the 3 paragraphs, and here are the other 3 paragraphs, and here we have the questions. Okay, you can pause the video and go back, read the passage, and try to get the model answer for these questions. And by this we come to the end of our class. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.